So I'm standing just outside this nearly completed house. We're about to meet our clients, Chris and Olga. Now, they're from America and they've flown over from the States to check up on progress. The house is about 80% finished, and they have very kindly offered to show our audience around the house and to talk about their experience of designing and building a villa in Spain as we go. Now, we're in Gerona, just outside Gerona in the north of Spain, so that you know exactly where we are. Just before we get started, perhaps you could tell us what your vision was for the house at the very beginning.
Yes, I think our vision for this house was to have a place that feels like it's surrounded by nature and that is modern, but it has a bit of country feel to it, which is why we added all the wood and the wooden ceilings that you'll be able to see later in the video. For me, I wanted a modern house, but I wanted it to feel natural with a lot of nature around it and a lot of elements that kind of nodded to traditional country house, but we're in a modern setting.
The other thing that was important to me was making sure that we build it not only in a sustainable way, but also in a way that for years to come, we're future-proofing it. So we've made sure that we have enough solar energy, that it's built in a passive home way, so that we can enjoy it for years to come without having to worry about escalating costs of energy. So we can be as self-sustaining as possible while still being incorporated into the rest of the neighborhood.
And just before we start the tour of the house, what's your favorite thing about the house at the moment?
It's hard to tell, but I think for me, the favorite part is going to be this patio and like the living kitchen area and how combined it is. I think we haven't in the past lived in a house that like flows so seamlessly from the inside to the outside, and it just has such a big living space.
Yeah. And for me, it's the windows. It's
right.
We're calling it Casa Ventanas. It has windows everywhere. You feel like you're outside while being inside. So it's that outdoor-indoor living lifestyle.
We've got this big, this 6-meter span here that opens up completely. Is that right?
It does. Yeah, the windows and doors open completely into the walls, which we'll show you in a little bit of how they disappear and seamlessly flow inside and outside.
Okay, so let me just say for the viewers, we're on a real building site and there's all sorts of noises going on. And that's almost certain to interrupt us. But Olga, tell us about the front door here and the...
Yes, so this was something that I just really wanted to execute it. I saw it in one of the designs in a house in Australia, where there was going to be this connection between the garage and the laundry room and the rest of the house. But I was like, okay, this is another opportunity for us to introduce some outdoor to the inside of the house. And we decided to put this oversized picture window that will have this perfect view as you come into the house. You already can kind of understand what this house is about. Yeah. Because you can see the beautiful pool that has this unique shape, and you'll be able to see the landscape design, and there's going to be a little tree here that's almost going to become part of the art of the house. So I think instead of putting a big picture here, the idea was let's make the nature part of the art in the house. So we put this big window here, and that's the same idea of the window over there next to the kitchen. You know, there's going to be a plant that's like a feature for the house that's part of the art, you know. So this house is a modern country house with the plants being part of the art here.
So if we walk in now, this is the kitchen, living, dining area. And we've got the terrace that we spoke about earlier, which is south facing on the left. And with that big span that we talked about, so you can open up that space completely. And this is north facing. It's got the best views, but it might be a little bit cooler in the summer. But having said that, if we spin around now to the south-facing terrace, the shade has been calibrated so that the sun never hits that window, even in the peak of the summer, right?
And that's the other thing I wanted to highlight is because we were able to design the home exactly the way we wanted, we were also able to position the home exactly the way we wanted. So we worked with our architect to see what is the right positioning as it relates to the seasons. So as an example, in the summer, we have this beautiful open area on the south porch, but it's entirely shaded because of the design of the home and because of the design of the landscape. And so we also have this home powered by solar panels. another important feature for us. But it was also important to make sure that it was oriented the right way to maximize the output from the solar panels while still making sure that we had the comfortable living environment all throughout the year. And so,
Yeah, you can see now it's the fall and the sun is starting to hit the patio. So it's going to be warm here in the cooler season. So you can still enjoy it in the late fall, early winter because the sun will heat it up.
Yeah.
All right, this is probably our second favorite room in the house.
Okay.
We are super active. We love cycling, running, and swimming. So we decided to design a gym inside of the house. And the big goal for this gym was that it was supposed to be a nice place to spend time. So when we live in the States, lots of people have gyms in the garage. It just seems like an afterthought in the house. So we didn't want this to be an afterthought. We love working out. It's a huge part of our life. So we wanted to have a place that feels like critically important to the house and feels nice, feels sunny. It's not in a garage. You can open, get fresh air. You can look over the pool. You can do everything here. So it's one of the largest rooms in the house.
I agree.
We spend a lot of time here.
yeah, frankly, it's one of the centerpieces of the house because it's so important to us.
Yeah.
So our vision here is that we'll have a couple of bikes that are set up here so we can ride indoors when the weather's not great. We might have a treadmill, have workout machines and racks and dumbbells and things like that. But everything in here feels like you want to be in here. And now a bonus on that is just outside of these doors that slide open, we'll have a 20-meter pool, which I think is one of the unique features of the house because you don't really see that very often. And I think it's going to be one of those things that people are going to recognize and know the house for.
I agree. A swimmer's pool.
A swimmer's pool for sure.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we wanted to build our own house, because everything we saw didn't suit our lifestyle. It would require a lot of adapting. And even with the adapting, it wasn't what we wanted. So I think that was one of the problems we were trying to solve with building our own house, is having this space that is kind of fitting to who we are and how we want to live our life, rather than trying to adjust our life to the space we ended up being in.
What was the problem that you were trying to solve at the very beginning when you bumped into us?
I think for us was just to really find a company that would understand what we're looking for, and someone who would listen to us, someone who would take in all these vision and inspiration boards that Chris and I created. We are big users of online Miro board and we had a ton of inspiration boards and we've seen things that spoke to us. So we wanted to find someone that would listen and that would take it all in and translate it to what we can afford, frankly, because I think that's another big part, right? That there's no infinite budget for us. That this is a house that we built within a budget that we thought was affordable for us. So we also needed someone who could take all of this and understand and translate it to what was affordable for us.
And finding a partner who could not only translate all of that, but would really partner with us to make sure we're making the right choices for the long run, making sure that where we are investing the time and the money, it's going to make a big difference. And those opportunities where we could have some cost savings, but having that full transparency of costs all the way through the process and the trust that we have with Eco Vida as well as the builders to make sure that it's exactly what we want. And knowing we can do this from 5,000, 6,000 miles away from the United States, which is often obviously one of the things that worried us the most when we first got started was, how are we going to do this from living in Los Angeles, building a home in Spain, where we're learning the language, we've never lived there before, but being able to work with folks who are here, who understand the language, understand the rules, understand the permitting, understand all of the things that are involved, and can help us navigate all of those and meet with us regularly and talk through all of these things and have consistent updates constantly. It has just been one of the best choices we ever made.
Imagine that someone's watching this video and they're wondering what they should do, and they're thinking, should we design and build our own home in Spain? What advice would you give them right now?
First and foremost, find somebody that you can trust, that you can work with, and where you can communicate regularly. Second, when you do decide that you're going to make this project and make this move, visit the place you're going to go to with those partners, in this case with Eco Vida, with our architect, with the builders, to make sure that it's the right location for what you have in mind. It's not as simple as saying, I like what this land looks like, I want to build whatever home I want on there. So it's a partnership throughout the entire process. So do that research early, make that initial investment, because the rest of it just becomes that much easier.
Yeah. And I think one other thing I would tell someone is figure out what you want. It doesn't have to be an exact design, because that's where the architects comes in. You know, a good architect like the one we work with will understand what you want and kind of translate it to a house. But I think it's important that you know what you want from your house. For example, we knew we wanted a house that didn't have 2 levels. We wanted a house that was 1 level. We wanted so that, like Chris said, it was important that we found a plot of land that can support this kind of idea. You should know how many rooms you want to have. You should know how, like, roughly how you want to live in this house and what kind of spaces matter for you. And I think that helps to move the process along, because I think if you're very undecided, things tend to take much longer.
And I would also advise, know what your budget limitations are. Be honest with yourself. Make sure you're honest with your partners about it. That way you can set a framework for, here's what we're willing to invest, how we want to invest, where there's room to negotiate different levels. But if you do some of that work up front, then there's no surprises later. There's always going to be something that will come up. But if you work within your budget, and if you have partners that you trust and who are working in your best interest like we have, then the process is just that much easier.
Okay, so we're in the master bedroom, and we've got a little private terrace here.
Yes.
And maybe a breakfast terrace.
Or for some wine, coffee.
So we had a conversation, because, you know, the primary bedrooms in States tend to be really, really large, you know, but we don't end up spending a lot of time in our primary bedroom in the States, but, you know, it's customary to have some kind of sitting area. But instead of, because we really wanted to embrace the indoor-outdoor living, we thought it's better to have an outdoor sitting area and living area. And the way the house is positioned, that was part of the idea, is to have a sitting area, but to make it different.
Can you think of a problem that came up that was unexpected, that actually turned out to be better than you had anticipated?
So initially on the floor, the floor covering, we were going back and forth. Should it be a wood floor throughout the house? Like, for me, the floor of the house is very important. I think it gives a tone to the house. Like, it really sets the tone for what this house is going to be. So I personally did a lot of research, and we decided on micro cement, which is something we've ever used or lived with. But I love the look and feel of it. It has this slight coziness, but it's also modern and easy to clean. And I think it's fitted for a modern, country house or farmhouse. And as we chose the micro cement, then we started talking about what are we going to do with the bathrooms, right? And I was really interested in tiling the walls of the bathroom, because there's so many incredible tiles nowadays, especially here in Spain. I think the tiles are just so artisanal here, and they're so beautiful. And I think, I have this ambitious ideas about choosing these really nice tiles and tiling the whole bathrooms to give it really cool vibes. But then it turns out that actually outside of our budget, tiling all the 3 bathrooms that are in the house would put us way out of the budget. So the team suggested we use the micro cement and put it on the walls, which actually I personally really love. And now it's the seamless experience in the bathroom. So it was something that I think just turned out way better than I expected. Here we are in the bathroom. You can see the micro cement is covering the walls, and the same color is going to be covering the floor. It's not installed yet. And then every single bathroom in the house has a shower. There's another bathroom upstairs in our office that's very small, but also has a shower. And I think it's important. It just makes the bathroom 100% usable. So we decided to put showers in every bathroom. Another big requirement for us was make sure that all showers close.
All the way.
All the way. We really dislike the showers that just have a piece of glass and you cannot close them. So that was important for us.
And again, as we talked about before with the themes of windows, we have, of course, a window here and a skylight.
Yes.
Because again, another important aspect of the home is make sure there is lots of natural light pouring in. We didn't want to have a dark small feeling home. So even though the ceilings are not as high as maybe some other homes, it feels lighter, it feels larger, it feels bigger because of the natural light coming in.
So let me ask another left-hand question. Would you do it all again?
Yes,
Okay.
100%.
Yes.
I think there are things that we learned along the way, as with any project, but 100%, I do not have any regrets, and I'm very excited about the next steps. Finding partners like Eco Vida make it that much easier, knowing that when we were in Los Angeles, we could go to sleep at night knowing that the team is taking care of our best interests. They're taking all of our notes, all of our thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we can, frankly, be as relaxed as it is possible when you're building a home from so far away. And to one of your earlier questions about problems that we wanted to solve by building our own home is the ergonomics of living in a home. When we were visiting other homes that were already built or that were in the process of being built, you had to adjust your life, like Olga said, to fit the home ergonomically. Like, as an example, by being able to put this exactly where we want and have this on the right-hand side versus on the left-hand side, it makes it easier for most people who are right-handed to be able to reach and do things here without it being across, making sure the plug is here for anybody who needs to use that as part of this without reaching across the water faucet. These little decisions make a big difference, like the shelf, like the plug, knowing where to put things. It's very intentional. And that's the other thing I think that we loved about this is that the house is not as large as others, but it's intentionally built. So there's no wasted space.
Yeah.
There's none of those nooks and crannies where you think, well, we have to fill it with space or fill it with stuff. It's all very designed because we know how we want to live and we know how we want to move through the home.
That's an important point, I think, that often you can have what you want in a smaller house, and a smaller house is less expensive to build.
And maintain.
Yeah, and
Maintain, because I think that's a big part, right? Like, if you have a space where you put a chair that no one will ever sit on, but you have to put something there because it looks weird without any furniture, then you're still heating space that's completely unusable.
We're in the office. Tell us about what happened here, because there was a moment in the design, wasn't there? Chris, do you want to tell the story?
So originally we wanted to have the entire home just one floor. But as we were looking at the layouts, some of the sizes of the rooms looked too small in some cases. And so we again
We wanted to have an office. That was a big part of the house too. Is like we wanted to have a space dedicated to working. That wasn't the living area, the kitchen, or it wasn't any of the bedrooms. Again, we don't want adapted spaces that matter for us, just like the gym. We wanted a dedicated space we could work here.
And so as we were looking at the design and the layout of the house, we thought, well, it's not going to fit exactly the way we want to have the size of the rooms that we wanted. So we thought about it, worked with the architect, and came up with this new design. So again, going back to one of the questions about those nice surprises, we identified this solution, which was to put the office above the garage.
Yeah.
And again, it's only one flight up. But now this entire space can be an office for the purposes that we have, or if in the future we wanted to make this converted into a bedroom, we've done the ability to do that as well with having a
full bathroom
upstairs as well.
Yeah.
So we've got an ensuite bathroom, and then we've got this really great little terrace.
Yes. So
In
that
front
was
of
the
the view.
original thing we wanted to have on top of the garage is just have a terrace. And then the terrace became the office.
And so again, with the theme of everything we've done with the home is to make sure that there is that indoor-outdoor connection. This was another one of those great opportunities. And then, of course, we have the great
view
views
from
of
here.
all of
Let's take a look at the views. Aren't they great? Okay, so here's the $1 million question. So tell me, would you recommend Eco Vida Homes?
100%. It's one of those things where, again, finding the right partner who will work with you on all these, full transparency, understanding your vision, being able to translate that to what you want to do, as well as connecting you with all of the other partners. It's been the best choice that we've made.
Yes, that I think was really great because Eco Vida just knows so many people that got brought into the project that we didn't have to source, but they were people who fitted the vision. That's why I also like little things, like you see those little lights on the house. This is all our interior design person, Nayade, who also was part of the team. And she brought so many incredible tiny little details to this project that just, offered us two options. I heard what you wanted. This is one and this is the second. Both are in your budget. Make a choice. I think that was so incredible, having someone guiding you through this process that you just never done.
And also making sure that they're identifying partners that go with your own ethos. So for example, all of the partners that we have working on the home align with the same things that we're interested in, making sure that it's an eco-friendly home as much as possible, making sure that it's taking into consideration the natural landscape, taking into consideration how we want to live our lives, and not just finding contractors who do work. It's finding the right contractors who fit that same ethos. And again, with Eco Vida, we've been able to find all those partners.
It might be a moment to talk about the garden, actually, because that was that was maybe an example of what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Because having looked at various possible people who might be able to help you with the garden,
Yes.
tell us about the garden project.
Yeah, this is the big reason also why we purchased this plot. The plot is almost 3/4 of an acre. So we don't want to build a big house, but we wanted to have some space. We wanted to have some space around the house so we could also live outside, like we said, but not just live outside on patios, but actually live outside with the nature and have a fruits and vegetables gardens and have multiple other areas. So that's why we selected this lot, because we thought it allows us to do everything because it's sizable. And we can not just build the house, but we can surround the house with nature. So the other partner that got brought into the project, Eco he also kind of designs gardens that use local plants and that are drought resistant, all the things we wanted. And we described to him how we want to make use out of this land that is around the house, and he understood us 100%.
Well, this is one of my favorite all-time projects, actually. And there are so many features here that have, as you said earlier, I think, that have been set up just for you.